Hello, puppet. It's morning yap. We're back. We're back. It is a little bit later in the day. I have been giving myself slower starts these last couple days after having been just with ice, with rehearsals, with the show, emotionally drained with being pregnant. So I've been giving myself some time. Let me promote these nails real quick. So these are from Tipped by Trin. I ran out of glue, so I'm getting glue today so that I could put my thumb on. But these are from Tipped by Trin. I am a part of her subscription program. I get 2 custom nails per month. Sets of nails per month. And so these were one of the pairs I got last month, and then my other pair is like blue. And then I also am going to have a, I can do it. I am going to have, the Valentine's Day ones are coming to me, and this is a 6-month subscription, so I will be getting bunches and bunches and bunches. And the glue running out is not her fault, it's my fault. It's my fault. It's totally my fault. That's one thing I forgot to get at Target. I forgot to get scissors, because I can't find mine, which I'm going to order another pair, and then I'm going to find mine, because isn't that the way it always goes? Anyway, y'all, I could talk about the show all day, every day, and what it meant to me, and chatting with folks on the back end, and that kind of thing, and like what direction I'm going in now. And I'm sure I will talk about that, but I just finished the episode of Pod Save the People that is up today. So if you go to any podcast application that you're listening to, Pod Save the People is there. It's by Crooked Media, which is a whole nother thing that we're not going to talk about today, but it is on every major platform. So it is not necessarily for Black people, but it is in the Black perspective, or at least it has, 3 different people's Black perspective. And one of the things that they were talking about on there was that I want to highlight. There was a lot of great things. So the first question that got me was like, what rhetoric do we actually want to see that would like make us trust progressivism, and how do, what are we wanting to see? Because we're asking essentially for purity tests, but what is the rhetoric? Like, who is saying the rhetoric, or what does it look like? What does it sound like? And nobody really had that answer. And I don't think that anybody really does, because I don't think we know it yet, because I think it's a part of the new world. I think it's a part of the thing that we're building, that all of us are sort of, not all of us, but many of us are sort of like branching into, where we're like, we think this is what we want, but we're really not sure. And we're really not sure what it looks like, because we've never like actually lived in full freedom. We've never actually lived in true joy. We've never actually lived in embodiment, because the systems are what the systems are, right? And so I think that rhetoric is something that like exists in fantasy spaces and fantasy novels and, Afrofuturism and like these spaces, but maybe doesn't necessarily exist in our popular conversation or popular discourse. But one of the other things that came up was a critique of neoliberalism, and you probably hear my kiddo accompanying themselves on the piano. They are singing, so that's great. But anyway, thought process. I got lost because of the kid, which happens as a mom, and I'm not mad about it. It's just what happens. They were talking about this kind of critique of neoliberalism that like kind of really does want like they want the next world, but at the same time, they're not willing to, I don't know what to say. A lot of them are not willing to give up some of the comforts that we have now, or see that like the comfort could be different in a different world, and trust that like it'll still be there or something like that. And so that was an interesting conversation. And then the last one was, and I've talked about boycotts a lot on here. I've talked about how like, I just don't think it's worth boycotting these huge corporations. Obviously, like, we can make a huge difference if it's a school or if it's a small business or something like that. Like, that you can make a difference because they don't have billions and billions of dollars. But I don't think that some people understand that, like, these companies and these people, like Elon Musk, like Target, like Walmart, like, we are not hitting their bottom lines by boycotting because they have hundreds of billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions. And so, like, there is not much difference for the company or for the individual that has that much money to go from 150 billion to 125 billion. They don't care. They still do not care. And so it's this false pretense that it's doing something or it's hitting them in their bottom line or it's going to change their policy or it's going to change who they are. And I just they didn't frame it that way. They were actually talking about ICE, and DeRay was like talking about essentially reforming ICE, which obviously I am all for the abolition, and so are 85% of Democrats, which is a shocking amount, right? But oftentimes people, and this relates to the neoliberalism conversation of, like, people are for abolition until you give them something else, right? Like, people are like, you're like, abolish ICE. If it's abolish ICE or keep ICE, they're going to choose abolishment. But if it's abolish ICE, reform ICE, keep ICE, people choose reform, right? So if you give them something in between abolishment and keeping, they'll choose the in between. And that is just a facet of that comfortability, like, where we feel like we're doing something or we feel like we're changing culture, but we're actually reinforcing the systems that keep us stuck, right? The systems that keep us here. And so I just thought it was a fascinating conversation. I would totally recommend going to listen to it. It was, again, today's episode, February 10th, of Pod Save. The people, they did talk about the Super Bowl, but they must have recorded before the Super Bowl because they were talking about it like it hadn't happened yet. So I assume they record the week before, like Friday before or something, and then it posts on Tuesdays. But that was the first time I've listened to that in a long time. And I just thought it was really good. So I just wanted to reflect on that. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. I got to get moving here. Abolish ICE, make a trouble, do good work. Joy is our revolution. I love y'all. See you soon. Toodles.